Doug Ford is making an announcement about the cut in the province's gas tax that takes effect tomorrow.
This spring, I traveled across Ontario. I spoke with hard-working women and men all across the province. I met with small business owners, truck drivers, construction workers, young people who commute every day to their jobs. And every one of them said the same thing. Life is becoming more expensive. Inflation is having an impact across the board. Affordability is the #1 concern right now, right across the province. And the biggest part of that, where folks are feeling the most pain, is the skyrocketing cost of gas. You see it on every street corner as gas prices rise to levels we have never seen before. It doesn't matter if your vehicle gets you to your place of work or if your vehicle is your place of work. The reality is that people simply can't afford the price of gas right now. It's a real problem, and our government is doing something about it. And so, as promised, we're cutting the provincial gas tax. Effective July the 1st, for the rest of the year, Ontario's gas tax will be cut by nearly 40%. I'll repeat that, 40%, saving customers 5.7 cents per litre. The fuel tax rate, which applies to diesel, will be reduced from 14.3 cents per litre down to 9 cents per litre, representing a savings of 5.3 cents per litre. This is in addition to the 4.3 cents per litre we removed when the cap-and-trade system was eliminated, bringing the total savings 10 cents per litre. We're doing our part to help. We're taking decisive action to help Ontarians where they need it most. Whether you are planning a summer getaway or have a business transporting goods across the province, or just need a little help with your day-to-day expenses, this will put more money back in your pocket where it belongs. In addition to our elimination of license plate renewal fees, this new gas tax cut will mean an average combined savings of around $465 this year per household that owns a vehicle. These are real savings that will mean something to Ontario families. Of course, the cost of fuel has impacts well beyond just what it costs to fill up a tank. It impacts everything in our day-to-day lives. So when the cost of gas goes up, so does the cost of groceries, the cost of clothes and school supplies, the cost to take your family out to dinner at a local restaurant. It all adds up little by little. And so while this gas tax cut will provide families with immediate relief, it will also help with the cost of everyday essentials. But we need to do more. And this is a time for all governments to come together to take pressure off Canadians when they need it most. That's why I continue to call on the federal government and partners to match our government's cut to the gas tax. This is a real, tangible solution that we can deliver for Canadians at a time when costs are higher than they've ever been. And supply chain issues and global conflict are only making things worse. Friends, our government is on a mission to do everything possible to keep costs down for you. We're going to continue putting money back into your pockets of hardworking people. It's your money, and you should have more of it to spend the way you want to. Ontarians sent us here to get it done for them, to listen to what they need and to deliver. We will not let them down. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario.
Hi, Premier. Rob Ferguson, Toronto Star. I'm great, thank you. I have a gas tax question in a moment, but the first one I just wanted to ask about the House returning. Apparently it's August 8th. Will that be for election of a speaker, throne speech, and then budget? Anything else? What is going to happen then?
Well, that's correct, Rob, and we're going to come back August 8th. I think we'll be sitting approximately for 5 weeks, and we're going to get things moving forward. We will pass the budget, the great budget that Minister Bethenfalvey here put together, and we're going to move things forward as quickly as possible.
All right. On the gas tax, I just wanted to take it a little bit further because sales of electric vehicles are picking up, and at some point you're not going to be making as much money from the gas tax to take care of roads and infrastructure. So have you been thinking yet of how this tax will transition, and at some point, might you put some kind of a road user fee on electric vehicles a few years down the road to make up for what you're not getting in the gas tax?
Yeah, thanks for that, Rob. That's an excellent question. We have thought of it, and I've always said we don't need more taxes. We need more taxpayers paying the taxes, and we're short 340,000 people. And we just need to, and that's going to be one of the number one issues I'm going to be speaking at the Confederation meeting out in BC with the other premiers about bringing more immigrants into our country and to fulfill the jobs that that we require right now, and that will create more revenues. But excellent question. Not to mention, the tens of thousands of jobs that the auto sector is going to be hiring, no matter if it's manufacturing batteries in Windsor or manufacturing electric vehicles right across the province and in the different manufacturing sites, be it up in Alliston or in Oakville and Windsor and Ingersoll and Woodstock and Oshawa and Brampton. So they've created a tremendous amount of jobs, which will create more revenue up to the provincial coffers. Sorry I'm squinting, guys. This sun's super bright today.
Premier, it's Jamie with City TV.
Hi, Jamie.
These questions are shipped in by Cynthia.
Yep.
Cynthia would like to ask, given there's a time allocation on this tax break, would you consider, if inflation is still high at the end of the year, we consider making it permanent?
Well, we'll look at it, but I really want to ask the federal government, I implore them to do the same thing. There's 11 cents of the carbon tax they can get rid of. Just imagine if we could knock down the prices by 20 some odd cents. We've done 10 cents so far. If the feds do another 11 cents, that's 21 cents. That'd be huge savings, and they can do it temporarily. I get it. If they want to just do it through the peak areas of the summer or up to the end of the year, that's how you put real money into people's pockets. That's how you keep the cost of groceries down and inflation down. That's what we need to do.
And thank you very much. And the second question is for Highway 413.
Yes.
When did you know that about the endangered species? Are you concerned about, will it slow the building of it down? Is there movement on the 413?
Yeah, so we're doing the environmental assessment. I'm going to pass it over to Caroline in a second here. But we're following all the guidelines. We're being super careful. We're being very conscious about the environment. But we were democratically elected in that whole region. I don't know if folks have ever driven. I know the people of Brampton know how busy it is. Try to get through Brampton and to Brampton in rush hour in the morning, at night. It's an absolute nightmare. We have to continue focusing on building 413 and the Bradford bypass and the other highways right across the province. But, the architect of this plan has done an incredible job, is Minister Mulrooney, and I'll pass it over to the minister.
Thank you, Premier. Well, the study that you're referencing is part of the work that we're doing as part of the environmental assessment process on the Highway 413. We have a very rigorous environmental assessment process in place in Ontario, and so we're taking all the steps that are necessary, and we're going to continue with that, but we are moving forward with building the highway. Thank you.
Good morning, Premier.
Good morning.
So several experts have said that a gas tax won't do much since the prices of gas is going up due to demand, and that a gas tax really won't do that much since prices will still continue to go a lot higher. So my question is, why isn't the government focusing more on insurance rates? Where in Brampton, it's probably one of the most expensive places to actually have insurance in the province. Why isn't the government focusing more on that rather than a temporary gas tax?
Well, I'm going to respectfully disagree with whoever says cutting the gas tax by 10 cents overall doesn't affect and help the people of Ontario. It helps them in a massive way. And I know we're working on a plan for insurance companies. As far as I'm concerned, it's totally unfair to the people of Brampton or Scarborough that they're going after these people based on their postal code. That's going to come to an end real quickly. They have to treat people fairly right across the board. Insurance companies are making tons of money, and it's coming out of the pockets of Ontarians, so we're going to be all over them.
And I'm just going to pivot to education. So QP is currently at Queen's Park right now holding a press conference on Bill 124. You haven't given a firm answer on whether or not you plan to repeal it or not. So can you definitively say yes or no whether or not you plan on repealing Bill 124?
Well, what I can tell you is their increase is going to be more than 1%. It's not going to be through the roof, but it's going to be very fair to everyone. We fully understand inflation. We fully understand the cost of living is going up. But my message to the teachers union is one thing: those kids have to be back in school in September, and they have to be back in school with extracurricular activities. And I have all the confidence in Minister Lecce. He'll do a fine job in fairly negotiating a deal. And I always emphasize the word fair. I get it. I understand costs are going up, but we cannot have the kids out of school no matter what.
Hi, Premier. Holly Mackenzie-Suter with
Hi,
Canadian
Holly.
Press. Yeah, I wanted to ask about your plan for the 4th COVID vaccine doses now that NACI is recommending them for the fall. Do you have a plan, and when are we going to see it?
We do. Actually, we were talking to Dr. Moore actually yesterday about that, and he's going to move forward. We have all the confidence in Dr. Moore. I want to thank him for the great work he's done through the pandemic, and you'll hear further about our rollout in the next little while. But we were discussing that yesterday, actually.
And do you have a plan for when you might or if you would ever bring back masks in high-risk settings like the healthcare or transit, just because we know the new variant is a lot more contagious? Like, have you talked about that as well?
Yeah, we have, but I'm going to follow the guidelines of Dr. Moore and public health and the recommendations, as I have right from the beginning of this pandemic. He's been a phenomenal partner, and all the advice that we've been getting from the doctors and everyone involved. I always believe in following health.
And I have one more question, unrelated, about the big city mayors in the province have asked twice in the past 2 weeks for an emergency meeting to address the homelessness crisis. What are you going to do to help the cities and people living on the streets?
Well, we're going to help them any way we can. We're putting hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in helping the homeless, not just in Toronto, but all regions. And we need to get more residents built. We need to cut the red tape. We need to work hand in hand with the municipalities. But we've stepped up huge in supporting communities, and we're going to continue supporting them. We want everyone to have shelter. We want everyone to have a meal in front of them. We're going to take care of them.
Good morning, Mr. Premier. Andrew Brandon, CTV. Now, Premier, much like my colleague did mention earlier, experts do say that a lot of what's being cut today or what's being put in place tomorrow will inevitably be eaten up, especially during the summer months. Is this as far as Ontario can go alone, especially with the federal government that has more regulations coming in, which could increase gas just 13 cents for one regulation that's going to be put in place by 2030? Do you need help from Ottawa?
We do. We're in desperate need. And thank you for that question. We're in desperate need of help from Ottawa. Something, when it comes to governments, no matter if it's municipal, provincial, or federal, sometimes I just don't understand it. People are in desperate need of a little relief right now. We're stepping up with 10 cents, and yeah, it's probably going to ding us a little bit on the budget, but the feds have to do the same thing. Even if it's temporary, we know the peak traveling season is in the summer. People are going up north, they're traveling away, with their families, and give them a break. Why is the government always trying to gouge people? If governments of all levels, all they want to do is tax people. I don't believe in that. I believe in giving temporary relief, putting money back into people's pockets. They'll go out and spend that money in areas that they might otherwise not have. And I'm a strong believer in reducing the gas tax. So we're going to reduce it as a total of 10 cents per liter, and it's going to go till December. And then, see, what people don't realize, gas companies switch over their type of gas in the winter. So the gas in the winter is different than the summer, and in the winter, it usually drops the gas. So let's hope they continue on that road. But, if you look at it, I don't control the gas prices worldwide. I wish I did. We see challenges around the world. We saw what happened with President Biden in the U.S. He cut off the pipeline, which was the craziest thing I've ever heard. And then he's over begging to Saudi Arabia and the rest of these countries, Venezuela, to give us gas. You got to be kidding. When we have plenty of gas, we could probably pump out another 800,000 barrels a day if we had the pipeline. I don't understand it. Yeah, the Keystone. So I don't understand. It's a no-brainer to me, but I don't control the gas prices. We're maxing out what we can do for the taxpayers of Ontario.
Thank you for that. And on a follow-up on inflation and unions, and maybe Minister Bethlenfalvy, you can potentially answer on this one well. Now, CUPE is using your own words essentially against you on negotiating fairly, and they're looking to repeal Bill 124. Looking at some of the federal unions, they're looking at an increase for their next contract of 13.5%. Inflation's at 7.7. What do you think about those demands? And again, on Bill 124,
Well, I can't comment on the feds. But we're going to be fair. We're going to be fair and respectful to the taxpayers. We're going to be fair to the men and women that are out there working day in and day out, no matter if they work for the government or they don't work for the government. But good point. I'll pass it over to the Minister of Finance and answer that. I told him he's looking pretty sharp today, kind of like Don Johnson.
Nah, yeah, for younger people, who's Don Johnson? Miami Vice, right? Yeah, well, you just aged both of us, Premier. No, thank you for that question. We're very aware of the current environment that we're in, and I think the Premier said it best. We want to be fair, we want to respect the taxpayers, we want to recognize the environment that we're in. And I would just add that through the Premier's leadership and through the campaign, we're taking action to help people with the environment that we're in. So it's not just the gas tax, taking off the tolls of 412, 418 that the Premier's mentioned, the license plate stickers. And also, for those traveling starting tomorrow, the staycation tax credit is in place for the full year, up to $400 back for families in their pockets if they stay at an Ontario campground or bed and breakfast or hotel accommodation. So there's lots of things that go into helping keep costs down, and we'll work hard with the various negotiating partners to come up with what we think is fair for everyone. So thank you.